The teller, the teller, the teller.
It's another day. Left jab, right jab. This is MMA. Mixed martial arts, quick body parts, undefeated when I pick 'em. Who the champ, who the victim? Looking in my crystal ball, I predict the winner. Never stop fighting. If you lose, keep your chin up. Know how the game go. I'm a smart fella. Welcome to the show. This the MMA fortune teller.
The MMA fortune teller.
The teller, the teller.
UFC Fight Night, Tyron Woodley versus Colby Covington. I don't know about you guys, but I was a little surprised that this fight card is not actually getting an official number like UFC 253. I think that this card is a stacked fight night card, so I'm very excited for this fight card. In particular, of course, the main event. This is a fight that I've been wanting to see for a long time, and it looks like it's going to happen. We still got some time, and we'll see if Woodley makes it to the fight. But this is a fight that I really, really want to see, and all signs are pointing that it's going to happen. Woodley's been seeming like he's very confident going into this fight. He said that he's been calling for this fight for a long time, and he's ready for it. So we'll see if that's all true. I think a lot of us will be in agreement on how we think this fight's going to play out, but we'll get to that later. This is a stacked card that has a lot of fights on it, so I'm going to get right into it. I'm super excited right now. I just made some big money betting against the Cowboys, taking the Los Angeles Rams, so I feel pretty good about that. Sunday Night Football over here, just to give you guys an idea when I'm recording this. And now we'll take a look at this card, and we're going to jump right into it. Colby Covington and Tyron Woodley, of course, in the main event. We got Donald Cowboy Cerrone versus Niko Price. That's an excellent fight. We got Khamzat Chimaev making his long-awaited return. It's only been a couple of weeks. Johnny Walker, Mackenzie, Dern, Kevin Holland. I mean, come on. This is a stacked card. Curious what your guys' thoughts are upon this card. I think it's a stacked card. I really do. So, with no further ado, let's get right into it. First fight of the card, we got Tyson Nam taking on Gerald Rivera. Tyson Nam, of course, was supposed to be fighting against Matt Schnell, a guy that we had on the show just last week or whatnot, or about a week and a half ago or so. And unfortunately, that didn't play out well for Tyson Nam because or for Matt Schnell, I should say. Really, Matt Schnell did have some problems, and but with his weight cut, it seemed like he fainted. So that fight was scratched, and now they're throwing Tyson Nam in there against Gerald Rivera. So we're gonna touch upon both these guys. See here, we got Tyson Nam. Now, yeah, Tyson Nam is coming off an amazing knockout right against Adeshev. That was the guy though who had a very decorated kickboxing background, but definitely was coming into that fight overweight. Tyson Nam is just a crafty veteran. He's definitely dangerous with his power. I mean, he can knock guys out. This is a guy that's he's had some big knockouts even way back in the day over in Bellator. I do see some holes in his game though. So don't get it twisted. I think this guy does have holes in his game, and he's a dangerous opponent. But certain fighters will be able to exploit them. This guy Jerome, he just won. I'll put quotations or whatever you want to say around them, hyphens, whatever you want to call it, because there's some question marks in regards to saying he won that fight. I thought he lost that fight, but it was still an amazing fight, and he ended up getting. Actually, I'm not even sure if he did get the contract. I think that the UFC might have just, booked him for this fight because they needed a replacement or somebody to throw to Nam. I'm not sure if he did get the contract. I'm trying to remember. But he lost that fight. Even Dana White said that he lost that fight. But you know what? It was a very entertaining fight, and he looked good in that fight. It was a very closely contested matchup. And I just want to touch upon this guy Jerome real quick. He's 10-2. He's only 25 years old, and he's going to be coming into this fight, the bigger guy, the taller guy with a longer reach, and he's a very well-rounded fighter. But Luis Rodriguez, keep an eye on that guy. Just got to touch upon Luis real quick. This guy looked very, very good in that fight. Very dangerous. Luis Rodriguez, the Mexican fighter. But an amazing fight. He's now, Jerome is on a 3-fight win streak. Now he's taking on Tyson Nam, and we'll take a look at the line too. Second. Let's see here. Tyson Nam versus Jerome Rivera. Jerome Rivera is right around a plus 125, where you have Tyson Nam right around minus 165. To me that line is a little bit surprising. I get it. Nam is the guy that's already been in the UFC. He's going to be a little bit more comfortable in there. He's a little bit more mature. He's been around the block. But I still think this young guy has some skills, and he's going to be the bigger dude. I'm going to show you these guys side by side real quick. Taking place in the flyweight division. This guy Jerome Rivera is 5'10". He's tall for the division. He's gonna have a 4.5-inch reach, and I'm gonna pick the dog here. Like I said, I've seen some holes in Tyson Nam's game. Sergio Pettis was really able to exploit his stand-up, his striking defense, where he broke a record on Tyson Nam's face. And I think this guy Jerome Rivera is gonna look better in there this time than he just did on Dana White's Contender Series. He's gonna continue to grow right in front of us. And, I'll pick him to win the fight. It's a very close fight, but I'll pick him to win the fight. But again, Tyson Nam is a guy that he could hurt you. He could finish the fight. So we'll see how that plays out. All right. Going to the next fight. Darren Minner taking on TJ Laramie, another guy coming off Dana White's Contender Series. TJ Laramie is going to be about an inch shorter, and is going to be at a disadvantage with his reach, right around 5 inches, 5-inch reach disadvantage. But if you saw TJ Laramie's fight in Dana White's Contender Series, that's something that really shouldn't concern you too much. This guy likes to get on the inside. He likes to close the distance, and he likes to grapple, man. This guy is a very strong grappler, good ground and pound. Even before his Dana White's Contender Series fight on tape, this guy has some very strong grappling. Has the nickname The Truth. This guy had a troubled path, man. I remember his story on Dana White's Contender Series was a pretty troubling story as he grew up. And this kid's he's a tough kid. And he really is a kid. 22 years old. He's young. Darren Minner is a guy that's gonna have a lot more experience than TJ going into this fight. Minner, 30 years old. Minner has been around the block for a long time. We're talking about 35 professional fights, and he is coming off a loss. But Grant Dawson is a true stud, one of the top prospects in the division to maybe potentially be a champion one day. And the Herbert Burns fight, that was a tough fight for him. He looked good before he got choked out. He was looking good in the beginning of that fight. Kevin Croom, do we need to talk about Kevin Croom? Oh my God, this guy Kevin Croom, man, he had pulled off the crazy upset on Roosevelt Roberts. Holy crap, I was not expecting that at all. But he has a loss to Kevin Croom, Jordan Griffin. So he does lose some fights, but to all recognizable names. But TJ Laramie, in my opinion, this kid just shows some promise, and I'm somewhat of a believer in this kid. Just the way he walked into that show and the performance that he put on, I was impressed with him. So we take a look at the line here. TJ Laramie is a minus 250. Now that, in my opinion, that line may be a little bit high. It's hard to say, because Minner does have the experience on his hands. This was the fight, where he threw down with Grant Dawson. It's hard to gauge him, because this guy's a lot of experience. He's very crafty with his submission skills. Grant Dawson's a stud, so if you're running the tape back on that fight, I don't know if TJ Laramie is necessarily Grant Dawson. He may be, but Grant Dawson is the real deal. For sure, he is proven, and Grant Dawson was able to get takedowns in that fight. He was able to control him on the mat a little bit, and that would be TJ Laramie's route to win this fight too. I think is to use his grappling and to take Minner down and to wear on him, use some ground and pound and whatnot. Maybe try to pull off a sub or finish on the ground with his ground and pound. And I'm gonna pick him to win the fight. It's kind of hard not to pick him, with the performance that he just put on. And I want to address something too, man. I always say this, man. I'm always gonna pick who I see winning the fight. I don't care about what the line is. If I tend to pick more favorites than dogs, sometimes it is what it is. There's specific fight cards where I have a lot of dogs in them, but I'm gonna pick I'm telling you guys who I think is gonna win this fight. From watching the tape and looking at the skill sets and looking at all the deciding factors, I can't pick against TJ Laramie right here. I just can't. I think that he looked really good on that Dana White's Contender Series fight. I think he looks good on his pre-tape before that. And Minner's a guy that he's lost to opponents that are in my opinion are lesser of opponents than TJ Laramie. And then I'm gonna pick TJ Laramie to win the fight. All right. Really, really excited for this main event, man. The next fight. Now, this is a cool fight here, man. Ewell taking on Rivera. For those of you guys that tune in to MMA Live Discussion every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, you guys know I had both of these guys on recently, and I really like both these guys. I think that both these guys are really good people, both solid fighters. They have a lot of promise in their careers. Really, they're basically hitting their primes right now. Even though both of them don't have that many fights in the UFC, they're essentially kind of striding into their prime right now. You take a look. This is me chopping up Rivera, an excellent dude. Rivera brings it every time he steps into the cage. This guy, he's extremely tough. He brings the action. He trains with the best of them. You see him on Instagram, and he's getting in, sessions with his striking coach over there, Henry Hooft, who you guys know I'm very high on. He's brushing shoulders with the best of them. Burns, Usman. He sees all those guys over there. Eddie Alvarez, back in the day, he was training with him. And Rivera is a solid fighter. And then you take a look at Ewell. Ewell, I just had him on the show this past Thursday. So, if you guys didn't get a chance to check it out, I highly recommend you do. He's a very entertaining dude, to chat with. He was very entertaining. The show was, I really enjoyed it. I also had the young prospect on the show as well before that. So, it was an excellent episode. If you guys didn't get a chance to check it out, I hope you guys do. And you know what? I'm gonna tell you this much in regards to this fight. I'm not gonna pick a fighter here because I really like these guys. I have a lot of respect for both of them. I just had them on the show. I'm gonna tell you this much. I think the line's off. I do think the line is off. You take a look at the line. Ewell's almost at a minus 200 right now. He's almost closing in as a 2-1 favorite. I don't see that. I think Rivera is very much in this fight. Rivera, he likes to make his fights dog fights. Ewell is a guy that's never strung off 2 victories in a row in the UFC, so that would be a first if he's able to do it. I do like the fact that Ewell has the size, the 7-inch reach advantage going for him. The 2-inch height advantage. He's an athletic dude, but I think this fight's going to play out very closely. So the value is going to be on the dog there, and Rivera, and shout out to both them. I hope it's a fight of the night, and I hope these guys win some bonus money. Now, staying in the bantamweight division, we got Costa taking on Journey Newsom. This guy, Costa, this guy's an entertaining fighter. Only 6 professional fights, but this guy definitely has knockout power. 26 years old, training down over here in South Florida, coming off a nasty knockout against Boston Salmon. That poor guy's been getting knocked out by everybody. Before that, he gets submitted by Brandon Davis. What's there to say? This kid's growing up in front of our eyes. He does have a lot of potential, and he's going to be the bigger fighter here too. We talked about fighters. Excuse me, let me bring it back. We talked about fighters, having a size advantage and a reach advantage. Take a look at this fight. Costa has a nice, 5.5-inch reach advantage. He's 4 inches taller. He's definitely the bigger guy. Journey Newsom is a guy that he has some nice hands though. Journey Newsom. I believe Journey Newsom, his dad was a professional boxer. I do believe, if I remember correctly. This is a kid that's really worked on his boxing since he was a young gun. So he could definitely use his hands. So this has all the makings to be a very entertaining fight. I'm gonna take the dog here. I'm gonna take Costa. I like the work that Costa has been getting in down in South Florida. You see him over here at Top Team. Tony Gravely. Tony Gravely's a stud of a fighter, but you already know at Top Team he's getting all types of training. And he's over in Fort Lauderdale, man. I know all these areas well. I recognize a lot of these spots over here that he's always posting on Instagram. This is like the beach over there, where they have that big walk. Everyone's always hanging out. He's always on Instagram Live doing his thing over there. But the dude is he's a legit fighter. You see him here brushing shoulders with a bunch of UFC fighters. Mike Davis, this is a guy that has confirmed to come on the show. This is a guy you could see on this Thursday or maybe the following Thursday. So, Mike Davis is a stud of a fighter. We got the Chattahoochee fighter, man. What's his name? He's got knocked out, man. Brock Weaver. He got knocked out by the Tarantula. That was a nasty fight for him. But He's a tough dude. I don't know if he'll get another shot in the UFC. Stay tuned to see. But Randy Costa, man, I'm gonna pick him here. I'm gonna pick him to win the fight. Um, I think that he has some things going for him right now, and it's going to be a very closely contested match. He is the dog. He is the underdog. Randy Costa right around a plus 115. Looks like some money's coming in on him on specific books. And yeah, I'm going to take Costa to win the fight. I like his size advantage. I like his grappling. He might Journey can grapple as well. He can wrestle. He's a strong little guy, but I like Costa. And although Costa only has 6 professional bouts, Journey only has 11 himself. So, it is almost double, but it's not like he's some crafty veteran that's been around for years. All right, sticking in the bantamweight division again, but now we're going over to the women's side. Got Sarah Alpar taking on Jessica Rose Clark. Alpar, this is the girl that just came from Dana White's Contender Series. Did not look that impressive physically, as far as how she looks, but she did pull off the victory. She's strong. She showed that she has some grappling skills, but she was stiff in there. I didn't like her technique as far as stuffing the takedown, and but she got it done. She did it in her own little weird way. So I don't want to throw too much shade at her. Jessica Rose Clark is a girl that's been around for a long time. You guys know the deal with her. Has decent power in her hands, decent takedown and decent clinching. Decent takedown defense, decent clinching. She's kind of strong as well. But this is a girl that's really never really overly impressed me. Like I said, Sarah wasn't that impressive either. I do think that this fight has the makings to be an entertaining fight, just the way that they match up stylistically. They kind of remind me of themselves in some aspects. Clark is coming in with a 4-inch reach advantage, 1 inch taller. Take a look at Sarah real quick. 9-4 as a professional. On a 3-fight winning streak now after taking out Shayna Young. Shayna Young, that was the fight in Dana White's Contender Series. Shayna Young took her down at times in the beginning, but as the fight progressed, Sarah really rose to the occasion. Has a loss early in her career to Heather Clark, the old Ultimate Fighter girl, ex-UFC fighter. Yeah, I mean, take a look at the line. Jessica Rose right around a 2-1 favorite. I don't know if I necessarily feel comfortable having money on Jessica Rose Clark at these odds, but I do expect her to win the fight. She's a tough girl, strong girl, always lifting heavy weight. You see her on her Instagram, always pumping the iron. She's one of those, I don't know what style you call that. She's always rocking the chuck. She's all tatted up. They call that like a hipster type of thing. I don't know. Little Aussie girl. Yeah, I gotta pick her to win the fight just because I really wasn't that impressed with Alpar on tape, but I do think that she's the type of chick that can rise to the occasion. And if Jessica makes any mistakes, Sarah will capitalize on them. She can submit you. We saw her pull off that nice rear naked choke on Dana White's Contender Series where her opponent gave her an opportunity and she really just she jumped on it. She took her back and she subbed her. So Alpar is live there. I think that she's live. And but overall, as of now, I'm taking Jessica Rose Clark. If anything changes, you guys know the deal. You'll see my final selections fight date on Instagram and Twitter. Twitter is beefing up. I'm cleaning it up. I'm starting to make posts on Twitter. So remember, check me out on Twitter as well. The MMA Teller. And you guys see that there in the bottom. The Twitter will start to pick up. All right. We got some big fights coming up, man. Stay with me. Got Jordan Espinosa taking on David Dvorak. We were just talking about this guy, David, this flyweight fighter. Me and Matt Schnell were talking about him on MMA Live Discussion. This guy, he has some promise. This guy's a tough dude, well-rounded fighter, 18-3, 21 professional fights. Jordan Espinosa is no joke as well. He's he's a dangerous fighter, another very well-rounded fighter. Want to take a look at David Dvorak's resume with you guys. As of recently, been stringing off victories. Hasn't lost a fight dating back to all the way to 2012. You're going to see some lower level opponents in there if you start to pry, which I've been doing. You're going to see some lower level opponents. but you do take a look at his UFC debut against Bruno Silva. Bruno Silva is a capable opponent, and he was able to defeat him there. So you know, that was, he looked decently impressive in that fight. You know, wins the unanimous decision. Now, you know, in regards to excuse me. In regards to Jordan Espinosa, Jordan Espinosa is a guy that has, you know, he has hands, he could strike with you, has decent grappling as well. He's decently strong, you know, he can mix in takedowns on you. Like I said, a very well-rounded fighter. You know, they say his foundation style is wrestling, but this guy, you know, don't get it twisted. He likes to strike as well, likes to use his hands. I'm going to edge David Dvorak. I like what I've seen from him a little bit more than Espinosa. Espinosa's a guy, you know, we've seen him get finished in 2 of his last 3 fights against Schnelly and Alex Perez. Alex Perez is a stud. Schnell's a tough opponent too. He is coming off that win against Mark De La Rosa, but Mark De La Rosa has been having a really, really hard time, you know, in winning a fight in the UFC. So, you know, it doesn't look that impressive right now. And David Dvorak, on the other hand, he can't lose. The guy can't lose as of recently, even if it's against lower level opponents. I'm taking David Dvorak to win the fight. David Dvorak is pretty much, you know, it depends what book you're looking at, dog or favorite, but really that's all nonsense. This is a pick'em fight here. This is a pick'em fight, and I like David Dvorak. All right, bear with me, guys. We got about one more fight until we get to some of these bigger fights. Take a look at David and Espinosa right there. Take David to win that fight. Now, in the next fight, this is an interesting matchup here. Mayra Romero Barella taking on Mayra Bueno Silva in the flyweight division. You know, Mayra Romero Barella is a girl that I find to be very, very flaky in there. She's only won 1 of her last 5 fights. She is a girl that has looked impressive to me in specific fights a long, long time ago. And she's put in work at American Top Team. She's shown to have capable jiu-jitsu skills, more than capable, really. She's flashed before with her BJJ. But then it's weird, she makes a lot of mistakes with her BJJ as well. You know, she gets submitted. She's a very flaky, unreliable type of fighter. That's the best way I can describe her. Both these girls, Romero's going to have a 2.5-inch reach, but same height. And, you know, Mayra, the Italian fighter, she does have some dope tattoos. I'll give her that. 34 years old. It's cool to see the Italians representing in the UFC. But, you know, getting armbarred by Courtney Casey, getting finished by Lauren Murphy, Montana De La Rosa hasn't been looking good recently. You know, lost to her, got beat up pretty bad in that fight. You know, Talia Santos, she won a split decision victory against. Talia. Just took out Molly McCann. I don't even look into that deeply, but that's kind of what I was saying. You know, how she's hot and cold. You know, she's had spots. I'll tell you a fight where she looked really, really good in. I think it was the Kalindra Ferreira fight. She looked amazing in that fight. The way that she took her back, you know, her jiu-jitsu looked amazing. Even before she pulled off the submission, she was transitioning left and right, just moving through her guard like butter. You know, people were really, really high on her after she pulled off that fight, and then she's been a complete letdown ever since. Mayra Bueno Silva, on the other hand, this is a girl that definitely has jiu-jitsu skills, of course, the Brazilian fighter, but it's more than that. I mean, if you saw the armbar she pulled off against Jillian Robertson, you know that she's dangerous off her back. She does have a little bit of power in her hands too. She's not shy to strike with you if you want to keep it standing. And in fact, I think that's more where she actually likes to keep the fight. She definitely likes to throw hands. So you know, like I said, the armbar's there. She has a couple armbars on her resume, and Jillian Robertson is no slouch. The Mariana Moroz fight was not a good look for her, but Mariana Moroz is another girl that can put it on at sometimes and look decent. Another flaky fighter though. But you know, I'm not picking Mayra Romero Barella. I'm not picking her here. In fact, I'll even say I'll call an armbar. I'll call an armbar victory for Mayra Bueno Silva. Wouldn't be surprised at all if Mayra has a mental lapse in there once again. But look at the tats, man. The tats they're nice. Pretty cool stuff over here. I actually have the Greek key over here tatted up on me too. We'll see. May play out to be an entertaining fight. We'll see. What's going on over here? Got Chuck Liddell. I don't know, they're showing this over on Tapology. Chuck Liddell is he looks like he needs to be in an old age home. He's out there shoving around. All right. Let's see. Now in the next fight, things are starting to heat up. If you guys know what I'm talking about. And let's see. And oh yeah, also I apologize for not doing the fight companion. I was ready to do it, man. I had the ad going and everything, but I kind of fair warned you guys that there was some things going on that you know, I couldn't guarantee it. So I really tried hard to get that going. But things should be cleared up. Actually, no, there's no question. I'm doing the fight companion this Saturday. I can't 100% guarantee it, but I'm gonna do everything in my power. Like I said, just been having some personal things going on that are kind of being prolonged. It's not something that's really over yet, so but it will be eventually, and can't guarantee it, but 99.9% I will be doing the fight companion on this fight card and the next fight card, God willing, because you guys know we gotta all be together, man, pouring up some drinks or whatever, just watching these fights, because these fights are gonna be dope, watching these fights live together. And now we go into the next fight. Mirsad Bektić taking on Eduardo Garagorri. Mirsad Bektić, man. Let me start with Mirsad, man. You know, Mirsad Bektić was a kid that I was so high on back in the day, man. I'm talking almost 10 years ago. The American Top Team product at the time. He was ranked one of the top prospects in the game, if not the #1 prospect in the MMA game back in the day. You know, I think he's fighting out of Bosnia. He has a Bosnian background. I think he moved to Oklahoma, where he wrestled. He's only 29 years old now, which is crazy. He hasn't even broken into his 30s. But you know, they're real quick before I get out of here too. I mean, these guys pretty match up virtually identical as far as, you know, height and reach. But you know, Mirsad Bektić was a guy that had so much promise, and you know, I go back to that Darren Elkins fight, where he was dominating him, 10-8 rounding Elkins, and then all of a sudden gets caught and then ends up getting head kicked and knocked out. It was so brutal. Yeah, he did come back with, you know, a nice victory over Godfredo Pepe, who's long gone from the UFC. Did take out Ricardo Lamas, but you saw his fighting style completely change. He was just he was so timid to strike on the feet, and then you see him get knocked out by Josh Emmett. You know, you could see maybe why he had some issues with his chin after taking all that damage in the Elkins fight, and then the Emmett fight. Now, you know, he's been worn on his chin has been hurt. The Dan Ige fight, I thought he won that fight. I did think that he won that fight. I know it was a split decision. It could have went either way. I'm not saying it was a robbery or anything like that. Speaking of robbery, right? People talking about the Angela Hill fight, and that was an extremely close match. I thought maybe Angela Hill eked out that 5th round to pull off the decision, but it was really close. Could have went either way. But you know, again, I thought that Bektić probably won that fight. But again, timid to strike. Eduardo Garagorri is a guy that has some knockouts on his resume, but against very, very low level MMA fighters. So do not look into it too much. The 13-1 record, I'm really not buying it. Coming off a loss against Ricardo Ramos, where he was just taken down easily, gave up his back easily. The Humberto Bendene fight, I thought he lost that fight. I thought he lost that fight, and if I remember correctly, this fight took place in Uruguay. Yep, took place in Uruguay, and the judges absolutely robbed Bendene in that fight. I'm telling you, Humberto won that fight. If I remember correctly. You guys let me know if you remember what I'm talking about. Humberto won that fight. At least it was very close. Maybe should have been a split. Either way, these guys are not, you know, none of these guys over here are Mirsad Bektić. You know, if you thought Ricardo Ramos got takedowns easily against him, Mirsad Bektić has some legit grappling. He will push him against the cage and just rip him down, or not even against the cage. He'll do it in the middle of the octagon too. He'll rip him down, and I expect the takedowns in the ground and pound or the submission game of Bektić to play a big factor here. and that's what I see going down. But this is the fight game. You saw what happened to Roosevelt Roberts. Got overzealous in there and got caught early, and he took that L. This was a crazy fight where Emmett ended up knocking out Bektić. I mean, anything could happen in these fights, but at the end of the day, I don't know if I see Garagorri knocking out Bektić right now. I just think that he's not on the same level. The line's very high in Bektić, so maybe it's something you want to parlay. You want to look into parlaying possibly, or you're worried about the chin of Bektić that's been tested. And this guy, he thinks that he can throw. So, like I said, knocking out lower level guys. But we've seen some of these guys knocking out lower level guys, and then coming into the UFC and all of a sudden just catching people. So you never know. But I got Bektić all day in that fight. Bektić. Now this next fight, this is going to be a barn burner. This has all the potential to be fight of the night. No question about it. And there's a lot of potential fight of the night fights taking place on this card, especially as we get to the top. Kevin Holland taking on Darren Stewart. Now, I just made money on both of these guys. I had Darren Stewart, I believe a 5-unit play on him against Maki Pitolo, who I faded twice last month or so. And then Kevin Holland I had in a parlay as well. I had to parlay him against Joaquin Buckley. And that was an entertaining fight, actually, this fight here. But Kevin Holland showed how composed he is on the feet and how dangerous he is with the striking. We saw it on Dana White's Contender Series where he made a name for himself. He was joking around in there, playing around with his opponent. The dude is elusive. He has a crazy reach, and he actually has good BJJ, being trained by Travis Lutter. So this guy is a very very skilled fighter. I do worry sometimes the way he's so comfortable in there, though, that eventually he's going to get caught with the shot and get put out. He's just chilling in there trying to roll punches. I have a feeling one of these days somebody's going to clip him. And Darren Stewart is a guy that's willing to help you out with that. If you want to put some money on him, Darren Stewart can knock out anybody. Let's get that clear. Darren Stewart's also working on his grappling as well. Was able to pull off that guillotine choke against Impa. I believe it was a guillotine. But Darren Stewart is also a guy that was, he lost the fight before that to that Polish fighter. He was mauled in that fight. He was held down. So he needs to continuously work on his takedown defense and his grappling. He has serious power, serious striking. And I don't think Kevin Holland's going to try to wear him. I don't think Kevin Holland's going to try to use the grappling to win the fight. I think he's going to be willing to take place in a striking match. But if Kevin Holland does want to start taking this fight to the mat, try to get some trip takedowns, maybe some takedowns from the clinch, Kevin Holland will be the better grappler in my opinion. I think Kevin Holland will be a little bit better everywhere this fight goes. Then you got the guy Darren Stewart, they call him a dentist for a reason. He'll knock your teeth out. He'll knock you out. And look, Holland has a 7-inch reach advantage, which really isn't anything new for him. Inside the division against anybody. In the middleweight division, that's what he does. We've seen him fight in the light heavyweight division, against Thiago Santos, and he held his own in there. Holland's a stud. His one loss as of recently was against Brendan Allen. I had Brendan Allen to win that fight. Brendan Allen's a stud. So Bartosz Fabinski was the guy that grinded out Stewart. Edmund Shabazian. That was a brawl, split decision. But I got to take Kevin Holland here. Again, I talked about it earlier. Not to just pick the favorite, but how can I not pick Kevin Holland? The kid's a stud. I'm not gonna just sit here for jokes and be like, oh, I'm taking Darren Stewart. Kevin Holland, man. If Kevin Holland doesn't get hit with the knockout shot, I think he wins this fight. Not to say that Darren Stewart can't keep it close on the feet, but I think Holland will still convincingly win, a decision there. So yeah, Kevin Holland to win the fight. Ooh, got Mackenzie Dern stepping back into the octagon. She took some time off for a while there. She had a baby, and then she jumped back into action and she looked very good. She was able to get that submission, which of course she's one of the best submission artists in the game, period, in MMA. This girl is she grew up. Her dad was a very decorated BJJ practitioner, coach, all that. So she grew up with all that stuff. I guess that's her husband over there. Cool. She's blessed with a beautiful baby girl, it looks like. And good for her. And she's back to the fight game, though, now. And take a look at her last fight. I want to talk about her last fight real quick. In her last fight against Hannah Cifers, before she pulled off that knee bar, Hannah Cifers was landing a couple shots on her and kind of bullying her a little bit in there. I know it didn't last long, but if Mackenzie Dern doesn't pull off that submission on you, and as long as your name is not Amanda Cooper, you got to be careful, because she gets tagged on the feet. I mean, Amanda Ribas, I saw that fight live. Obviously, Amanda Ribas is a real stud, but I still do think that in the Ashley Yoder fight too, she ate some shots. I think that she's not. I mean, we all know that she's not the best of strikers. So, Randa Markos is a girl that's been working on her boxing for a long time. And Randa Markos is very strong. She can control Mackenzie Dern against the cage, but she doesn't want to let the fight hit the mat, because if the fight hits the mat, that's where Dern is going to shine and most likely probably pull off a submission. I'm not going to make a pick on this fight yet. I'm really torn on it, actually, and I'm going to make a decision as the week progresses. Take a look at the line. Randa Markos right around a plus 145, because I could see Randa Markos, keeping the fight on the feet if she's able to play it smart, and she's a strong girl, and I think that she wins all the striking exchanges, and she'll be the one holding Mackenzie Dern against the cage, and Mackenzie Dern needs to get this fight to the mat. So when you're taking that line, that favorite line of Mackenzie Dern, you better hope for that sub. I'm telling you guys. So. Yeah, stay tuned. Check out my Instagram, my Twitter. I'll have my official pick soon. Also, MMA Live Discussion on Thursday. We'll be touching upon all these fights more in detailed as the week goes on. So, I want to see you boys joining me, man. MMA Live Discussion Thursday, man. A lot of you guys have been showing up, but I'm still going to be pumping out those shows. Well, I know a lot of you guys watch them later, so it's all good. But, I enjoy having you guys on, and I enjoy chatting with you guys. But, this Thursday, we'll touch upon this fight a little bit more. Now, in the next fight, this is what this card's all about, man. Fireworks, left and right. Johnny Walker taking on Ryan Spann. This is a good fight for Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker's coming off 2 losses. And this is the guy that he wants to fight. A guy that looks slow on the feet in his last fight. Who I'm not really that impressed with, to be honest with you. He's a tough dude, but this is a fight for Johnny Walker to get back on track with his crazy, flashy knockouts. Coming off a loss against Nikita Krylov, where Krylov wrestled the crap out of him. And then the loss against Corey Anderson, where he got caught. But I want to talk about what he was doing before that, man. Before that, this is what I want to see, man. I want to see him go out there, get the flashy knockout, start doing some funky stuff. Remember when he was throwing nasty elbows in the clinch? I believe it was in this fight where he was dropping those elbows in the clinch, knees. He was going out there just destroying these guys. And he beat some real opponents too. The Misha Serkinov knockout was nasty. Justin Ledet, maybe not the most legit of fighters, but still, it was nasty. That was the spinning back fist. Khalil Roundtree with the elbows in the clinch, that was nasty. Against a guy in Khalil who likes to, boast about his Muay Thai skills. That was all so impressive. And then Corey Anderson, Corey Anderson kind of put a halt to the hype. And then Nikita Krylov kind of put a stamp on the end of the hype. So now Johnny Walker needs to build all that back up. And Johnny Walker's a guy we definitely got to worry about the grappling. Ryan Spann is a guy that he'll shoot in with sloppy takedowns, and he'll try to hang on you. You saw him in his last fight. Was not impressive at all against Sam Alvey. I could expect Ryan Spann to try to pull something similar off in this fight, where he's hanging on Johnny Walker, trying to wear him out, tire him. But when Ryan Spann was throwing his hands against Sam Alvey, they were inaccurate, they were slow, and I think Johnny Walker will hurt him on the feet. There's some question marks with Johnny Walker. Like I said, the grappling, and we'll see. We'll see what if Johnny Walker's working on his overall skill set and he's still becoming a better, well-rounded MMA fighter. Because Ryan Spann is a guy that does win fights. Let's not get that twisted. He has some losses here, but these are all very, Robert Drysdale, one of the best BJJ dudes in the game. He was also caught for taking steroids around this time. Trevin Giles, UFC fighter. Carl Robertson, UFC fighter. Since then, he's been winning fights. Sam Alvey fight was close though, but he's capable. But I'm going with Johnny Walker. I hope Johnny Walker gets a flash knockout. And look at the line, very, very close. I hope Johnny Walker gets a flash knockout, man. I'm pulling for him. But I understand why it's a close line. Yeah, this was the Sam Alvey fight. You run the tape back on that. Spann did not show up for that fight, man. He did not look that good there. But Sam Alvey will do that to you. Crafty dude, an old Team Quest fighter. He saw with the takedown defense, and he can strike too with this. He can box. But yeah, gotta go with Johnny Walker, right? Maybe I'll get a bottle of Johnny Walker for the weekend. In the name of Johnny Walker. All right. Now, I'm interested in what you guys think about this fight, man. Please comment below. Tell me your guys' thoughts on this guy, Khamzat Chimaev, who's taking on Gerald Meerschaert. Remember, this fight's in the middleweight division. He's recently been fighting in the welterweight division, at least in his last fight. Call him Boers, 26 years old. See, Gerald's going to be... he's going to have the reach advantage by 2.5 inches. He's a real middleweight fighter, so this is a bigger dude than his last fighter. He just recently fought that Irish guy, that welterweight fighter, who was actually a skilled opponent. Heiss, I believe his name is, or Rice. The kid was skilled, but he was just outsized, outmatched with the grappling. Gerald Meerschaert's a guy that has BJJ. He's a big boy, and we're gonna see what Khamzat's all about here. And I really want to know what you guys think about this fight. Khamzat Chimaev makes his UFC debut against the English fighter, and what's his name? Against John Phillips. Actually, excuse me, I believe John Phillips is from Wales. I mean, not, yeah, the white Mike Tyson. Yeah, let me not label where he's from, because that ain't right. So yeah, he's the Welsh fighter. And, Khamzat makes his debut, puts it on him, beats the crap out of him. Finishes him with the Dar stroke in the second round. Then he takes on Heiss McKee. Just destroyed Heiss. Heiss was just outmatched in that fight. And he just got beat up, man. The ground and pound was nasty. The way he gets his takedowns are just so impressive. And then you got Gerald Meerschaert, who says he's coming to derail the hype train. And you see the train on the side over there. But I don't know, man. I don't see it. Gerald Meerschaert is coming off, a loss against, what was it against? Tough up, a guy I'm very high on. Ian Heinisch, got knocked out by Ian Heinisch in that fight. Darren Wynn, that's a good fight if you want to run the tape back on. Darren Wynn also is a tough wrestler, but way, way smaller than Chimaev, but also a guy that has a wrestling base. But Meerschaert was able to stuff the takedowns. He was the bigger dude in there, and he was able to use his grappling to pull off the submission. He also pulled off a submission against Trevin Giles. Trevin Giles, wrestling-based fighter. So, hopefully Khamzat doesn't get tired in there and gets worn out and maybe gets submitted. I don't see that happening, though. Sorry, I do not see that happening. I know Gerald Meerschaert's a crafty dude. Trains over there at Rufus Sports, with the best of them. But taking Khamzat all day. And let me tell you guys, the line movement is very interesting on this fight. The money has been coming in on Gerald Meerschaert. Take note of that. Money is coming in on Gerald. I thought that the Khamzat line was going to go up the roof by the time the fight happened. Still have some time to see. I thought he'd be like a minus 800 by the time the fight happens. Let's see how that plays out. I'm taking Khamzat Chimaev, and obviously the line's high, so maybe you throw it in a parlay or something. But you got to be careful sometimes with those parlays. Sometimes you roll the dice. You can go on a lot of some big win streaks with some favorites like that, but then all of a sudden you'll have some tough streaks, man, where these girls drop the ball. You saw Julia Avila. That was a fight she should have took. Looked like crap in there, and it happens. Some of these big favorites, Roosevelt Roberts looked like crap. Last weekend, this past Saturday, a lot of favorites lost. A lot of big favorites lost that should have won. One of them was sad though, man, but he lost. Mike Rodriguez, man, he had the stoppage early in that fight, and then he ended up getting tired, and he should have got the stoppage though, and got caught in that Kimura. But For anyone that had money on Mike Rodriguez, man, I feel your pain. Comment below, man. I feel your pain. That had to be tough. That's all I was thinking when I was watching that. I was like, damn, I would go nuts if I had money on that. But Khamzat, Chimaev, man. I think he's gonna get the takedowns. I think that his striking will come around. He has some power. Gerald Meerschaert's chin is questionable. I'm taking him. And Chimaev has another fight right around the corner too, man. All right, we're in the co-main event. We're at the co-main event. Donald Cowboy Cerrone versus Niko Price. This is why I said that this card is just absolutely stacked. I think that this card could have easily been a pay-per-view card, or a legit, UFC 253 type of card. Niko Price, I've had the pleasure to watch this guy fight live. I saw him pull off one of the nastiest knockouts that you'll ever see. And that was against, who was that again? Against James Vick, the Homer Simpson of MMA. But that was crazy. But the way he pulls off those unorthodox knockouts are nasty. Don't sleep on his striking too. He's nasty. He has power on the feet, and it's unorthodox as well. But, Donald Cowboy Cerrone, you guys know the deal, man. Do I got to tell you guys about Cerrone? Cerrone can strike. He has jiu-jitsu. He's so crafty, but you never know what fighter's showing up with Cowboy. Niko might go out there and just hurt him to the body right away and just stop him. He's on a 4-fight losing streak. I mean, he's had what? We're talking about, this guy's had 51 professional fights at this point. It's crazy, man. I've been watching him since the WEC days. I was a giant fan of his back then. It's so crazy to see how his career progressed. I remember when he first started fighting in the UFC, I was wondering if he'd be hanging around for a while, because I was a big fan of his from the WEC days. And you know how that was with the WEC coming over to the UFC, all their fighters. You didn't really know what was going on. If you didn't even know if these WEC fighters were capable, and obviously they proved that they were more than capable. They all started taking the belts. Cerrone is a legend. In my opinion, he's a Hall of Famer, and I really hope he wins this fight. But he's not a guy that I really. He's not a guy that I really trust nowadays, and a guy that I really haven't trusted for some time. God bless Cerrone, though, man. Look at him, man. He has some beautiful kids. I think he just had another baby boy, too. Yeah, he did. 2 boys, man. That's awesome. There's going to be 2 more Cerrone boys on planet Earth for the next generation. Riot River Cerrone, man. That's awesome. Congrats, Cowboy. Yep, the leg kick was always nasty. He always whipped it around like that. His hands, eats a lot of shots. And there's a picture. I think it was maybe Niko posted it. There's Niko's eye. That fight got stopped. That was a hell of a fight against Vincent Luque. Fight had to be stopped. And we've also seen Cowboy's eye look like that too. I just think that most likely we're going to see Niko hurt Cerrone. I do. I think that Niko looked impressive against Vincent Luque. And I think this is you know what they're going to do here? I think this is going to be a changing of the guard, because they know Cerrone can't hang around much longer. He has limited amount of time left in the game. I think they want Niko Price to be the next Cowboy, man. This guy is willing to jump in there, take fights anytime. He's a true crowd pleaser. He's so entertaining. And he's more than capable too, man. Here's the picture I was talking about. It's a classic one right there. So maybe we'll see Niko, a passing of the guard here. I'm taking Niko Price to win the fight. And I'll be rooting for Cowboy Cerrone, though. And Cowboy Cerrone got robbed in his last fight, man. He took that fight against Anthony Pettis. I don't care what you guys say. I know a lot of people agreed with me. Some people didn't, but Cerrone won that fight. Comment below if you think if I'm wrong on that, or if you agree. Yeah, man. Niko has a 3-inch reach advantage, and he's long arms, and he has some power in those arms, and I think he's going to win that fight. But Colby, Cerrone, be careful. A lot of times he goes in there as an underdog and he spoils the party. So just throw that little side note in there. All right, we made it to the main event. Colby Covington taking on Tyron Woodley. I've been waiting for this fight for so long. Like I said, I'll believe it when I see it. Colby Covington, I've talked about it before. It's so funny, man. This was a guy I saw at the apartment complex pool down the street from my old house, man, with some chick. Long time ago, man. 2009. He had the wrestling tattoo. I said what's up to him. But I never had any clue he would blow up the way he blew up. You know what I mean? I didn't even really know he was a legit fighter. I knew he was like a wrestling dude. He was training at Top Team. He said whatever. He's a wrestling dude, and but I never thought he'd be that legit. And it's crazy, man, how the world goes. And this is a big fight for him. Tyron Woodley obviously has the name. He's an ex welterweight champion. Colby Covington lost that fight against Usman. I had that fight tied up going into the fifth, and I had him winning the beginning of that fifth round, and then he got caught. So he was as close as you can get to winning the championship as anybody could be, in my opinion. But he did get caught and he got hurt, and he has to work his way back up to a title shot. And Tyron Woodley's in front of him. Tyron Woodley's the guy that has power. Woodley can hurt him, man. Too. Don't get it twisted. Woodley he throws heat, and maybe he rocks Colby on the feet. That's a possibility. But let's be real. What have we been seeing from Woodley recently, man? Woodley has been looking like a deflated version of his old self. He really has. Gilbert Burns just mauled him in there. Kamaru Usman mauled him in there, and you would expect Colby Covington to go out there and maul him as well, right? Colby Covington, he's a better wrestler, and he puts a higher pace than Gilbert Burns, and just as high of a pace as Kamaru Usman, if not more. I thought he was pushing the pace even more on Usman. So I see Colby just going all over Woodley in this fight, just pushing him up against the cage, man, battering him, getting takedowns, beating the crap out of him. Woodley is durable, though. Even in both those fights he survived. Gotta wonder how much damage he could take, man. That'd be 3 fights in a row getting beat up. Does he maybe get stopped in there this time? I don't know. The line is high. It's like around minus 350 for Colby, and I think that's right about right. Tell me about this. What's going on with this? Did he try to kiss Trump's hand? I don't know. You guys tell me what was up with that. It was like went to kiss it or something. I don't know why he didn't give Trump a nice handshake. He was like doing some weird thing. Obviously, he's a big Trump supporter. Tyron Woodley is more on that BLM type of life. From things that he said, he's big into racial type stuff. I try not to talk too much about that because I don't ever want to divide the community here and the fan base that we work together. So I just stick down to the middle from that stuff. If you guys all want to talk crap in the comments, whatever, that's on you guys. But I think it's pretty clear that Woodley's more on that type of more of the other side. I'm sure he doesn't like Trump at all. Colby likes Trump. The election's coming up. I think this fight's so fitting for what's to come towards the end of the year and for what's been going on in the country, during this whole year. So you see Gilbert Burns pushing the pace on him in this fight, and he was just beating the crap out of him. And Woodley, believe it or not, man, I said I'll be surprised if he shows up, but he's been posting left and right about this fight. So I guess he's not just bluffing us; he's gonna show up. Posting a lot of stuff. I think I saw some other stuff. Here the Hollywood beatdown. So he's got to put, his money where his mouth is, because Woodley says he's ready to go. He's been wanting this fight for a long time. Here's the thing: if the fight's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. This Saturday. So he's gonna be locked in a cage with Colby, and you could talk all the crap you want about Colby. You could try to poke at him, make fun of him, whatever. Colby is legit as it comes inside the octagon. I'm pretty sure we could all agree on that, whether you like him or you don't like him. He's nasty in there. He's nasty. His wrestling, his pace, his striking is coming around too, man. That Usman fight, that was the highest level of fight I've ever seen in the welterweight division. I'll say that, man. Usman and Colby, those are the two highest level of opponents that fought each other in the welterweight division, I think. I can't think of anyone GSP fought that was more was comparable, because GSP's on that level too. But who did GSP ever fight that was almost his equivalent? Matt Hughes was a legend, but he was more of a wrestling based fighter. He was from an older generation. Colby's well rounded. Usman was well rounded, and coming off that loss to Usman, let's see how the jaw holds up. And I think we're all picking Colby to win this fight. If you're taking Woodley, if you're taking a dog shot on Woodley, comment below too, man. I want to see who's doing that type of stuff. You know what I'm going to start doing too? Guys, comment below whatever fight you feel really good about this week, or anything that you want to shout out, bold predictions and whatnot. And whoever posts the most bold predictions that come true, I'm gonna shout you guys out on next week's episode. So comment some bold predictions, and I'll do that for you guys. I'll make it a little entertaining. And please like this video, subscribe to the channel, man. I'm gonna have an excellent show this Thursday. I told you I got some really cool fighters, man. Mike Davis, Kyle Dawkins. There's a lot of guys I've been talking to, so you're gonna see those guys start popping up. Check me out on Twitter, the MMA Teller, and of course Instagram, MMA Fortune Teller _. I told you the Twitter's being cleared up. I'm gonna start putting out a lot of tweets. I kind of came around to Twitter. It's funny, I was never a big Twitter fan, but I'm starting to get it the more I've been messing around on there. I kind of like how you can actually tweet just random thoughts left and right in regards to these fights. I think it'll go a long way for getting information out to you guys, in regards to what I'm seeing for these fight cards. So make sure you guys catch me on both those. I really appreciate all your guys' support. Please like the video, man. If you're hanging around, still watching, man, I appreciate your support. Like always, I always shout you guys out, man. I appreciate all you guys. And check out the recent episodes I've done at MMA Live Discussion. You guys all have an excellent week. It's Sunday night here. Crushing football bets too, man. Yeah, college football, NFL, got baseball, basketball. There's all this crazy stuff going on, man. So, hopefully all your guys' bets are going good, man. Making your bets profitable. And on that note, one thing to do, sign out, all right? Signing out, Teller.
The MMA Fortune Teller.
The teller.